Have you ever experienced that sinking feeling of uncontrollable excitement when you finally buy those high-quality chicks? You bring them home, you raise them with the absolute best feed money can buy, you dedicate months of care, vaccinations, and hard effort, only to discover 6 months later that what you have walking around in your coop looks absolutely nothing like the reference photos you saw online? They don't have the right size, the color looks washed out and pale, the combs are twisted or different from what you expected, or even worse, their offspring turn out looking completely different from the parents. My friend, you are not alone in this. This is, unfortunately, the most repeated and heartbreaking story in the world of ornamental and backyard poultry. The market is currently flooded with sellers who, either out of pure ignorance or malicious intent, are offering mixed or hybrid birds as if they were pure genetic stock. They sell you industrial crosses disguised as heritage breeds, and in the end, the only person losing valuable money and time is you. Today, we are going to put an end to that uncertainty. The goal of this video is to train your clinical eye so that no one can ever fool you again. We are not going to talk about generalities today. Instead, we are going to perform a technical dissection of the 3 most popular, most sought after, but also the most counterfeited breeds in the world. The legendary Rhode Island Red, the classic barred Plymouth Rock, and the majestic giant, the Brahma. I am going to teach you how to identify the exact details, the specific color of the shanks, the precise shape of the comb, the tone of the feathering, and the skeletal structure that distinguish a pure specimen, a true genetic heritage, from a simple commercial mix. Before we dive into the specific details of each breed, it is fundamental to understand why we insist so much on purity. Is it just vanity? Is it snobbery? No, it is about genetic predictability. An industrial hybrid hen, like an ISA brown or a Lohmann, is a fantastic biological machine for laying eggs without a doubt, but it is a terminal product. If you cross a hybrid rooster with a hybrid hen, their offspring will not be like them. They will come out in varied colors, they will lose their body type, and they will be genetically weaker. It is a lottery. In contrast, a pure breed, often called a heritage breed, is an animal that has been selectively bred for decades, sometimes for over a century, so that its DNA is completely stable. If you cross 2 pure specimens, their offspring will be identical to them, productive, and will keep those characteristics intact generation after generation. Buying purity is buying a genetic factory that you can reproduce forever. That is why they have a higher value in the market, and that is why it hurts so much when you receive something that is not what you paid for. Let's begin by analyzing the Rhode Island Red. This is possibly the most famous chicken in the world, and because of that fame, it is the most genetically compromised breed on the market. If you go to a local feed store and ask for red chickens, it is highly likely they will sell you some light orange or reddish-brown chicks. They will tell you they are Rhode Islands, but in most cases they are absolutely not. Those are usually production reds or sex-linked industrial hybrids. The first non-negotiable characteristic of a pure old-line Rhode Island Red is its color. It is not bright red, and it is certainly not orange. The correct color is a deep mahogany. Think of a piece of fine, dark, lacquered furniture. It is intense, rich, almost reaching a dark wine tone in the adult roosters. A mixed or industrial bird will have feathers that look like washed-out brick or yellowish orange. If you see a hen that looks blonde, or has a light orange tone, she might be an excellent commercial layer, but she is not a pure Rhode Island Red for breeding purposes. The second point to observe is the body shape. Poultry judges describe the shape of the pure Rhode Island as a rectangular brick. Industrial lines tend to have a triangular shape. They are lighter and have very little meat on their bones because all their energy goes into egg production. The pure breed is a dual-purpose animal. It must be heavy, with a wide, long, and flat back. If you look at the animal from the side, it should look like a solid rectangular block. If it looks like a light triangle, it is a cross. There are even more subtle details where imitations usually fail. For example, look at the tail and the wings. A pure Rhode Island must have restricted black color in the tail and in the primary feathers of the wings. If you open the wing, you must see that black pigment. If the bird is completely red without a single black feather, you should be suspicious. However, that black color must not appear as smudges on the chest. That would be a defect known as smut. Finally, look at the legs or shanks. They must be yellow. But, in the best pure lines, you will see a reddish horn stripe running down the sides of the shanks and onto the toes. If the legs are white or pinkish, walk away from that deal immediately because that indicates blood from other breeds like the Sussex or the Orpington. Now let's move on to the favorite of many American backyards, the barred Plymouth Rock. Confusion reigns here because many people mistakenly call any black and white chicken a Dominique or simply a barred chicken. But a Plymouth Rock is not the same as a Dominique, nor is it the same as a Cuckoo Marans, and it is certainly not a common barnyard mix with that pattern. The secret to identifying it lies in the crispness of the barring. In a pure exhibition quality Plymouth Rock, the feather pattern is sharp and defined. Imagine a barcode. The black line must end abruptly and the white line must begin without gray or blurry areas in between. In crosses or production lines, the barring is usually blurry, zigzagging, and grayish. Furthermore, the feather must end in a black tip. This gives the bird a dark, defined finish. If the feathers end in a white tip, the bird looks washed out or mealy. Another very common mistake is confusing the Plymouth Rock with the Dominique breed. The key difference is in the comb. The Plymouth Rock always has a single comb, that is, a straight comb with well-defined points reaching towards the sky. The Dominique breed, which is older, has a rose comb, which is flat and pressed against the skull. If someone tries to sell you a Plymouth Rock with a flat, squashed comb, they are fooling you. It is either a Dominique or a crossbreed. You must also pay close attention to the color of the skin and the earlobes. The Plymouth Rock always has yellow legs and yellow skin. If you see a barred chicken with white or pink legs, it could be a Marans or a Sussex, but not a Plymouth. Likewise, the earlobes must be red. If you see a barred bird with white earlobes, it is likely a cross with a Leghorn or some light Mediterranean breed. Here is an interesting fact that proves genetic purity: the visual difference between sexes. In the pure breed, roosters and hens look different in tone. Because of how the barring gene works, males carry a double dose of the barring gene, so visually they look lighter, with white and black bars of equal width. Hens, on the other hand, look darker because their black bars are twice as wide as the white ones. If you see a batch where males and females are identical in tone, be suspicious of the genetic quality. Finally, we arrive at the heavyweights, the Brahma. Historically known as the king of poultry, this is an Asian giant breed that caused a frenzy in the 19th century known as hen fever. Today, the common scam is selling Cochin crosses or simply large birds with feathered legs as if they were Brahmas. But this breed has a unique architecture that cannot be faked if you know where to look. The hallmark of a true Brahma is its head and its gaze. A Brahma does not have the face of a normal chicken. It possesses a bony projection over the eyes, like a prominent brow ridge. This gives it a deep, fierce look, which is often technically described as a beetle brow or eagle eye. A Cochin or a mix usually has round, protruding eyes with a sweeter expression. The Brahma has a serious, almost angry expression because of that brow. If it doesn't have that characteristic, it is not a quality Brahma. Another critical point is the comb. You must burn this into your memory. A Brahma never has a single comb. The pure Brahma has a pea comb. It is a low, small, and firm comb that looks like 3 small ridges running parallel on top of the head. If you see a supposed giant with feathers on its legs but with a large, tall single comb with points like a common chicken, that is definitely a crossbreed. It is the easiest way to spot a fake at first glance. The body type also differentiates it from the Cochin, the other feathered giant. The Cochin is round, low, and wide. It looks like a ball with feathers. The Brahma, on the other hand, is tall and majestic. Its back is neither flat nor round, but has a soft U or V shape, rising towards the tail. It is a bird that stands upright, with wide and high shoulders, holding a majestic, upright carriage. Finally, check the feet and toes. Both breeds have feathers on their legs, yes, but the Brahma has a specific requirement. The feathers must cover the outer toe and the middle toe. But the most important thing is the color of the skin under those feathers, which must be yellow. If you lift the leg feathers and the skin is white, there is genetic contamination from another breed. In summary, raising ornamental or dual-purpose birds is an art form that requires attention to detail. It costs exactly the same to feed a mixed hen as it does a purebred one. They eat the same corn, occupy the same space, and require the same vaccinations. The big difference is that the purebred hen is an asset to your farm. Her fertile eggs have commercial value, her chicks are highly sought after, and her genetics are a treasure that you can improve year after year. The mixed bird, while useful for domestic consumption, is simply an operating expense. Do not settle for the first thing you find. Look for serious breeders, demand to see the parents of the chicks, check these physical characteristics, and do not be afraid to reject a purchase if the animal does not meet the standard. Your money and your time are too valuable to waste on genetics that will not give you the results you are looking for. I hope this technical guide helps you protect your investment and train your eye to recognize true quality. If this information has been useful to you, support us by sharing this knowledge with other breeders who may be about to start their project. Let's keep the standards of poultry farming high. For your success, my breeder friend. Until next time.